There was a time when most of my purchases were technically fine. They weren't extravagant or outlandish or things I would later regret. They were just okay. For example, it was a coat that kept me warm mostly, but didn't really look great and didn't make me feel my best when I put it on. Or a set of storage drawers that held almost everything I needed it to hold, but was really wobbly and really didn't do the job that I wanted it to do. Things like that. And for a long time, I didn't notice that anything was wrong. But what I came to realize is that this sense of almost created a sense of low level, underlying, repeated irritation in my home and in my mind. This irritation comes from things like clothes that kind of fit but aren't really crafted very well and are made of a cheap material, or a cheaper product that needs to be replaced sooner, or takeout that gets you fed but doesn't really taste good and is really expensive. And I realized something. I realized that I don't want to spend my money on things that are almost good enough. I don't want to spend my money on things I have to tolerate. I want to spend on things that truly work. So this isn't a video about buying less or 5 things I no longer buy as a minimalist. It's about no longer buying things that are almost. This is a reminder that we are worth the very best. This is a reminder that we want to do away with that quiet irritation that comes from things that are not great, for settling for things in our lives, and a reminder to choose the things that make our lives smoother and lighter instead of heavier. Let me be clear, there is a time and a place for good enough. For example, I'm a firm believer that when you're putting your clothes away in the drawer, getting them in the drawers that they need to be in is good enough. They don't need to be folded perfectly. And especially when it comes to like cleaning or doing those chores around the house, sometimes good enough is fantastic. And I have a motto that done is better than perfect. So sometimes you just want to get things done and good enough and out of the way to get them off your plate. But when it comes to purchasing and spending your money, this is an area where I have come to believe that you don't want just good enough. You want the very best. You want the very best you can afford within your budget for the job that you want it to do. And I realize that most purchases aren't huge mistakes. They're just like maybe a little bit off. And these are the purchases that create the most friction. So this sense of almost creates this underlying low-grade repeating dissatisfaction that I had begun to normalize in my own life. And this accumulated micro friction drains more energy than obvious clutter. Because I would look around and see like, I don't have a lot of clutter, but there are things in my life that are just kind of almost doing the job I want them to do, not fully doing the job I want them to do. And again, when it comes to purchases and items, almost is not good enough. And this shift in this video isn't about buying less, it's about refusing to tolerate that subtle misalignment. So here are 4 categories of things that I no longer buy, because I'm at a point in my life where I would rather buy nothing and make do with something I have already that isn't great enough than buy something that isn't exactly what I want. So let me say that again. I would rather not buy anything than buy something. Category 1 of things I no longer buy almost in is clothes that are just okay. So for example, I had wanted to get some new workout clothes. I had sort of started an upgraded fitness journey about a year ago, and I had been making do with the clothes I already had. I mean, like sort of ratty t-shirts, leggings that are getting a little bit threadbare and really worn, and I decided it was time to upgrade because I had been going to the gym religiously, very regularly, about 12 times a month, and I wanted to upgrade my fitness wardrobe. So I bought pieces of clothing that were okay. They were just okay. They were within my price range, what I wanted to spend, but the material was all synthetic and the fit was just all right. It was okay. And I'm like, well, maybe if I keep going to the gym, I'll tone up and I'll look better. And I'm like, no. No more of this almost or good enough. Like if it's not perfect, I don't need it. So I ended up returning all of those clothes, and I felt so much better because I just refuse to tolerate things that are kind of, sort of, or almost there. I just won't. And I will continue to use the clothes that I have, and I'll do laundry more often because I have maybe 2 sets of clothing and I go to the gym 3 days a week and I just do laundry more often, and I would rather have that than end up with clothes in my wardrobe that are not exactly right. Category number 2 is cheaper products that I know will end up breaking. And this is tough because you can't always tell what products, like if they're dupes, what products will end up costing you more money because you need to replace them sooner, but you can kind of have an idea. And for this, especially in the area of kitchen supplies, is something I want to be very intentional about, because sometimes saving money can mask inconvenience if those things, again, end up needing to be replaced. So, for example, over Christmas, I decided to splurge and buy myself a sieve, like a set of sieves, because I was doing some baking. So I was looking at the options, and they had one sieve that was from like one of those like random brand names. It's just a bunch of consonants all strung together. You're like, okay. And it was $10. I'm like, okay, that's a reasonable price for a sieve. And then I saw a set of OXO sieves that were, I could tell that they were good quality. So it was a set of 3 sieves and they were more than double the price. They were $24. And I was looking at them thinking, I could either save myself half the money and spend almost less than half to buy a cheaper product, or splurge and go for a product that's a little bit more expensive that will definitely last. And keeping this philosophy in mind of not buying almost, I splurged and went for the more expensive product. It was, again, the OXO brand, which I love, and they ended up being great. And side bonus, my daughter loves playing with them. She'll take them out and like play tennis with them. So I'm like, it's a huge bonus. We got a cooking implement and also a toy. But the idea of having things and sometimes waiting to buy better quality is a philosophy that I'm just wholly embracing, because I don't want to spend the time and the energy and the attention and the money to replace things that aren't the best possible quality for what I can afford. So that's definitely an area that I no longer buy things that are just almost good enough. The third area where I don't buy things that are almost good enough is in the area of accessories that aren't right. And this can be accessories for like clothing and I guess purses or things like that, or anything that you have around, like tools or I don't know, things for your home or your garden. Things that aren't almost right don't come into my house. For example, I, over the holidays, was looking to get a new bag. I was going to some holiday parties and I really wanted a bag that went with an outfit that I had. And it was kind of short notice because our company decided to do a holiday party for the area with maybe a week notice. And we also found out that the new CEO was supposed to come to this party. And I was like, okay, looking around for a bag that would go with this outfit. And I found one, and it was maybe 4 times what I wanted to spend. And it was nice. It was really good. And I have a very high I have a lot of criteria that need to be met in this bag. Like it has to have only silver hardware. It has to be this size. It has to look like this, and it has to go with this outfit. So I found this bag, and it was all, I think, just over $200. And I was looking for coupons or anything that would get it under $200. And it was like, it's holidays. It might be worth a splurge. Maybe I want that. And then I said to myself, would I buy this on full price? Not really. So ultimately, I talked to myself down and I said, you know what, you have a perfectly fine bag that you can take. Why don't you just take that? I said, okay. And the irony is our CEO also ended up not coming because his flight got delayed. So I was proud of myself for kind of talking myself off that ledge and getting something that was almost good enough. And this is an area that's also tough because I keep thinking about that bag. I'm like, ooh, it still hasn't gone down in price. And I'm like, maybe I want to go back and revisit that. But I'm like, there's a reason that I passed it over then. And it's not worth going back to now because I'm not buying things that are almost good enough, especially in this area. And the fourth area where I refuse to buy almost good enough, and this is the biggest one, is in the area of takeout. I refuse to buy takeout that is expensive and doesn't taste good. I refuse. Yes, it might get you fed, but it's not worth it. I would rather have cheese on toast than bad takeout. So just a couple weeks ago, we were traveling and it was a Sunday and we got back and I had no groceries in the house and we were all hungry. And I had this weird craving for deep dish pizza. I wanted deep dish pizza. And you would think that living in the city, there are tons of options. But you would be surprised at like 4 o'clock on a Sunday that there aren't that many options for deep dish pizza. And the place that we ended up going was Uno's. And Uno's in Manhattan is terrible. So, in Chicago it might be different, I don't know. But in Manhattan, it is not worth your money. And I knew that because we'd been to this restaurant before. And it's like, it's okay, it gets you fed. It's okay, it's almost good enough. But I did it anyway. And we ended up spending $120 on food that was like, I was shocked. Like the cheese wasn't even melted. It was terrible. It wasn't just almost, it was terrible, but it was something that I had a craving for and I wanted to eat. Totally not worth it. So again, it did the job of kind of feeding us, and it was, I mean, disgusting. The amount of saturated fat in like one slice is just mind-boggling. It was not worth it. And that was another example of a time when I'm like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So what I started doing now is keeping frozen meals in the freezer, and our freezer's on the smaller side. So I really have to be like economic in the way that I store things. So I keep like a bag of frozen chicken and a bag of veggies from Trader Joe's in the back so that if we need a quick meal when we're coming home and we don't have any fresh groceries in the fridge, I can just throw something in quick and save us the cost of a terrible takeout meal. So those are 4 examples of categories where I no longer settle for almost good enough. And the more I practice this practice of intentional minimal living, because it is a practice and I am constantly learning new things and expanding and growing and releasing, the more I realize that intentional living isn't about restriction. It's about more alignment. And choosing what truly fits reduces the need to constantly adjust. And once more, I would rather not buy anything than buy something that's not good enough. And if you're wondering, there are some things that I buy and like truly love. Like in the past 6 months, I can name 5 things right off the bat that were expensive that I bought that I truly love. For example, I splurged on a new winter coat this year. It was the Fjällräven Nuke winter parka, and I thought about it for so long. And I ultimately decided to take the plunge, and I love that coat. I love it. It's the best, and it makes me feel great when I put it on, and I am looking forward to wearing it next season because there's not going to be a lot of time to wear it for the rest of this season. Something else that I purchased, and I would think is in the area of like frivolous, is I purchased a new Christmas themed throw. It's a red and green plaid throw, and I saw it in the store and it was 100% cotton, and I'm like, done, it's coming home with me. It's $39.99, bought it full price, didn't even hesitate, and was like talking to people in line about this throw because it was so good. It's like, it's 100% cotton. I also bought a little doll horse decoration for Christmas because I try to buy a new doll horse because my heritage is partially Swedish. So I buy a new doll horse every year for Christmas. And I was happy to buy that. And also that strainer set. I love that strainer set. I look at that strainer set and I'm like, that little sieve set, and I'm like, this is worth it. This is 100% worth it. And every time I touch it, it makes me feel good and aligned and positive. So once more, this isn't about buying less. It's about buying better and buying what you truly deserve, because you deserve a life of the absolute best. So if you stuck with me for this long, thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know if there are any categories or things that you are done settling for almost, or a time that you splurged on something that was really, really worth it. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate you, and I hope you'll keep watching.